I'm Steve.
And I'm Kelly.
And this is Coupled with Chaos.
American Murder, Gabby Petito is what we're talking about today. It was, 3 episodes? I think if you invested about 2 hours, 10 minutes or so of your time, you would have seen her story. We saw it. I guess we started seeing it, it seems like, I don't know, what was it, 2 years ago? Maybe a year and a half ago is when we started seeing it on Court TV.
Yeah.
And so,
well, I remember it being in the news.
And that was
when they were still searching for everybody.
We watch Court TV quite a bit, so it's a matter of when this stuff turns around and starts to become real stories or real cases, and you go, oh, well, I've been watching this kind of in real time as it was happening.
Right.
This story made it kind of big, just because of I guess the Brian part of this. The story here, I guess a brief rundown is you had this young couple.
And you mentioned this is on Netflix, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't.
I don't think you did this time, but previously.
It is.
So if
nice.
you're looking for this, it is on Netflix.
And you can go about anywhere and hunt it down. There's plenty of YouTube stuff on this. It's a pretty popular thing to talk.
But I will say that knowing the full story already, I still learned some stuff because I saw footage and things that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, the rundown here is you have a young couple, not married yet. They went to high school together, separated. They were a couple years apart, and then came back together, lived. She moved in with him and his parents in Florida. They bought a van.
Which was a bad idea.
They bought a van, converted it, and went on a trip. Van life. She briefly started a YouTube channel.
Yeah, got the first episode out.
This is the real short version, and then we'll get deeper into it. While they were out traveling, she disappeared. He ended up back in Florida with the van.
Right, and then he told people that he had flown back.
Yeah. And
because she had taken off.
That's the 10,000-foot view of what happened.
And when someone asked to go find out, where they were, the police went to his parents' house, saw her van, realized it was her van, and then knew that didn't match the story they had been given by relatives.
It was his sister. Brian
Right.
Yeah, Brian Laundrie is who this is. So Brian's sister told the police that Brian said that he flew back to Florida, but in fact the van was there.
Yeah, and she was not.
Yeah, and
the parents greeted the police at the door with, "You'll have to talk to our attorney," which made no sense at all because they had no idea what was going on, and they really had been contacted by police in another area. And so they weren't even really that interested. They're like, what do you want from us, to the other police department? And they're like, well, we have a family that's missing their daughter. Could you go and contact the boyfriend's family and just see if anybody has seen her or knows where she is? And so they're like, yeah, whatever, is this really a missing person? Yeah. I thought that they really blew it off and didn't even seem like they wanted to be bothered with checking it out. Didn't you get that impression?
Yeah, I do. What I think is when they're
like, this is not our case.
Well, when they go around and make an arrest, I think a lot of times when they do things or questioning people, they've got to contact a prosecutor, right? And so we go, if we're going to do this, what statute is this person violating? And in Florida, evidently, there is a time limit on when a person is actually missing. I think it was like 10 days is where this point was. The parents hadn't heard from her in 10 days from Gabby. And Florida's like, well, 10 days is nothing here. I don't have a thing. And so I think that's where they were. I think they suspected something was up, and I got a feeling when they went back in there the second time when they found out that the van wasn't indeed, because the parents said the van was registered to both of them. Whose van is this? Both. But
and they looked it up and found out it was only hers. And so then they're like, well, now we can tow the van.
Yes.
Because he doesn't have any right to have it.
Yes.
And so then they could search it for evidence, which is what happened.
Yeah. I think if we go kind of all the way back to the beginning, the documentary was really, I have to say, it was really good. There's some, they're getting some flack for using the AI of her voice to read some of her stuff.
I thought that was good. Personally, I liked that.
They got permission from the family to do that. So
yeah, and reading her diary in her generated voice. I liked it. Personally, I thought that was a really unique thing, and it really, because it is her quote voice, not physical voice, but it is her words that she wrote in her diary. So it seemed entirely appropriate to me that you would hear her saying it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it made it more personal.
Maybe people are just looking for something. For me, if the family has a problem with it and they did it, then I would have a problem with it. But if they're at a point where the family's like, I'm all right with that, then
I liked it. I thought it was cool, actually. And I've never seen that done anywhere else.
So they get into, and I don't think they talked about it. Maybe they did and I missed it. I get kind of the news stories and sometimes these documentaries crossed up. But the family moved to Florida. Brian's family moved to Florida after graduation. And so they were 2 years apart. She before she went to Florida, she moved to, I think South Carolina is where it was for a period. And then they reconnected and she came down there. And so they had agreed, right? They were, I guess you'd call it a couple. Mm-hmm. But the stuff they talked about in their early relationship period, he seemed really controlling. Yeah,
he did.
And I think you could see in a lot of the messages and stuff that other people were saying that he was like, poor me. I just love you so much. I just want to be around you. It's when she's spending all these hours at work, saving up money, and he just seems completely, I don't know if dependent.
He victimizes himself.
Yes, he does.
He makes himself an emotional victim of her lackluster treatment, which wasn't the case at all. She was working, trying to save money for their van life plans.
Yeah, and not a great job at that, right? She's working at Taco Bell.
And working a ton of hours.
Which just, it takes a lot of hours at Taco Bell. Not that Taco Bell's not a great job. It's just, it's not like life-changing employment.
Yeah, it's not a fast source of income.
No, it is not. It's fast food, not fast income.
Right.
And so she had this thought that she could make this YouTube channel and I guess it be
a social media influencer.
Yeah, her job in some way. Uh-huh. When you look at these two as a couple, though, it's just a matter of some people just kind of strike you as odd, right? Mm-hmm. And I think he just kind of does.
He does. Definitely.
There was a story they had in there of she was going to go line dancing with her friend, and she'd forgotten her wallet at home, and she turned around and went to go home to get the wallet, and she was late to visit her friend, and she had said here that they had gotten into a fight, and I'm not meaning physical fight, that's possible, but that he had her wallet.
And had removed her ID from it. So she left the house and then went to get her ID out and realized it was missing. And he had removed it,
and he
so
had
she couldn't get in.
And it's just mad. I think it was wallet and ID, but I don't know that it matters.
Very controlling.
Yeah, and so it's just this kind of stuff. I don't want you to go out. I want you to be here with me.
Well, the thing was that she had left with her wallet, but she got halfway there and realized the ID was not in the wallet. So that made her late because she had to turn around and go halfway back again.
Which was his intent the whole time.
Right. Was to keep her from
because somebody like her, she's pretty, I guess, pretty young. I think I would call her bubbly. What would you use to describe her? Very
she
energetic.
was outgoing.
Yeah, very, very energetic.
Until she wasn't.
Right.
Because she had anxiety.
Yeah, I didn't think we saw any of that too much in the beginning until...
Yeah, just a lot on their trip.
What do you think, like, being in a relationship like this with a guy like Brian?
It's horrible.
Could it change you?
Thank you for listening.
You can listen to the rest of this episode
by subscribing to our Coupled with Chaos channel on Apple,
by subscribing to our Patreon,
or by subscribing to our Supercast
for $3.99 a month,
where you can hear us talk about reality shows,
real life, and more on our podcasts,
covering shows airing on TLC, A&E, Bravo, and the WE Network.
Just follow the instructions in the show notes.
Tell your friends about this podcast.
And rate and review us on your favorite podcast player.
Follow us at Coupled with Chaos on all the socials.
Or contact us directly by email at coupledwithchaos@gmail.com.